being a product manager or being a product director or being a product owner, it can help you actually to understand business, and it can help you understanding if companies are a potential good place to invest your money or not. Hey, Juan here. In today's video, we are going to go into a topic that we typically don't go in this channel. We're going to talk about investing and how can you benefit of your experience as a product person, as a product manager when you are investing. First of all, I want to do a disclaimer. I'm by no means a financial advisor, and this video is mainly for entertaining purposes and to share a little bit what is my approach to investment. So yes, I typically invest in individual stocks. I don't typically invest in funds, although I have done that in the past. And I'm not going to say that that's a perfectly valid approach, but you have to define what kind of investments do you want to do. It might be that you do a little bit of everything. You might do a little bit of individual stocks, and you might do a little bit of funds, and you might even go into cryptocurrencies. It depends from your point of view and also on your risk tolerance and the profile that you have as an investor. So why do I talk about investment in this channel? I think that as a product person, you actually have some tools that help you identify those good ideas that can translate also in identifying good businesses. So this is why I think that being a product manager or being a product director or being a product owner, it can help you actually to understand business, and it can help you understanding if companies are a potential good place to invest your money or not. So personally, I only invest in businesses and products that I actually understand to a certain degree. Obviously, you can get so familiar with a company where you don't belong to. When you are a product manager, you are used to be able to understand or try to identify potentially good ideas for your products. This is also going to help you being able to identify those companies. For me, when it comes to what is the area that I understand, for me is mainly tech companies. That's the area that I understand the better. And of course, tech companies can vary widely, but typically my main focus of investment when it comes to individual stocks are related or around different tech products. I know that this makes that my portfolio is actually biased towards tech, which is on itself a risk. So that's kind of a calculated risk. It's not potentially a good idea on the long term, but it's something that it's at this point is what I understand the best, and that's where my focus is. That doesn't mean that in the future I might add other stocks that can diversify the portfolio further. First, I like to focus on understanding what's the company vision. Does the company have a clear vision that can be understood, or is it something that I had to be guessing around? So for me, if it's something that I had to be guessing around or trying to figure out on my own too much, that is kind of a red flag, because not having a vision means not necessarily having a very good focus on the business, and it can be all over the place. So I like to potentially maybe look into companies that tend to have a very clear focus than other companies which are very large conglomerates that can be doing quite many things and might be a little bit difficult to define a clear vision for the company. And a little bit of a tip of where you can find this information. Typically, these companies that have a clear vision, this is going to be mentioned and advertised in their website. So you can find it as the mission statement, as the vision. It will have different names, but typically you will see it in their website. If they don't have it in their website, that potentially is a red flag. You also can find this in the investor relations site, where they will have all the communication towards their investors, and there they had to have a clear goal of what the company is trying to achieve. If I'm not able to see this in the site or in their investor relations documentation, then it's something that I'd rather stay away, because probably I don't even understand what the company is trying to do. The second one that as a product manager you can take advantage of is that you understand strategy. You are able to define what are going to be the key actions that are going to take you to your goal. So being able to understand a strategy and being able to understand if something is going to benefit you as a company, as a business, is going to help you understand the company's strategy. And again, this information, it can be found, again, typically in the website of the company, Sometimes companies, when they talk about their goals, their vision, their mission, they will define and they will talk about what are the strategies to get there. That's not always the case. So this is not something that I always see in their website. But typically this is something that you will see in the investor relations. In the investor relations, usually when you see the letter of their latest Q reports, you can see there what are the key actions that the company has been taking during the latest quarter. And those actions are typically the key strategic components for the company to be successful. So this should give you an awareness and understanding of what are the strategies for this company to be successful. And also, depends on how familiar you are with that kind of business, your experience as a product person should help you understand if this is a strategy that makes sense or if this strategy as such might not make a lot of sense. So this will tell you a little bit that is this a good potential investment or not. The next one where you can actually benefit from your experience as a product person is the user engagement. How engaged are the users with the products that this company delivers? So why this is very important? Obviously, engaged users are users that are going to actually be promoting the company to others. Remember, there's the NPS who measures what is the likelihood of you as a user to recommend this product to somebody else. The higher this NPS is, obviously, the more likely you are going to be recommending this to other users. Most likely, you're not going to be able to access the NPS from the company, but you are able to see in different forums and in different places where these products are actually distributed, what are the ratings that people are giving them. This actually is going to give you an idea that are these products something that people love or they don't care too much, or is something that they just had to use because it's the only option, or is this something that is just not working at all. So places like Google Play or the App Store will let you know if those products are something that people actually really love and enjoy, or if they are products that are actually troublesome. So there are many places where you can see the reviews from the products that will let you know how people are liking or not these products. What you're trying to figure out here is that is the product actually answering some real need from the user? And it's not only that, is that are the users are actually loving that product? If you are able to figure that out, if a company is actually scoring really well here, that means that at least they have figured out something that people care about and that people are willing to pay for, which is something that is very important for a potential growth of a company. Then there is something that you can also figure out from your experience as a product manager is the ability to execute from the company. This might not be so easy to measure. There is many things, although, that can tell you if a company can execute or not. You can see it again from Google Play and from different reviews of the product about what are the product features or the product characteristics, or does the product actually answer the user needs. This is going to tell you if the company actually is able to deliver something that has a proper product market fit, but also is the company able to deliver on promises that they are doing. Whatever the company is saying that they're going to achieve by a certain point, are they able to execute it? And I don't care so much if they're able to execute it by an exact date. Are they actually moving towards that goal or not? That is much more important than being able to deliver on a precise date, which sometimes seems to be really key for the stock market, but actually doesn't make a lot of sense. Being able to deliver within a time frame, that's a very different story. But being able to see that the company is moving towards that goal and delivering towards that goal is really, really important. The next one that I like to pay attention to is the company culture and the CEO. This is something that maybe not necessarily as a product person you are going to have a lot of experience or interest for. But I believe that this is a key thing for the company to actually be able to deliver against whatever goals they are having. Because if you are actually promoting an internal culture where people actually like to work, where people are passionate about what they are doing, that they're delivering towards the goals that you want to achieve as a company, and not your goals as a person or as a product manager or as a business, but that you're actually building something that is meaningful and also meaningful for them. And being meaningful doesn't mean that as a company you have to be saving the world. It means that you are able to convey your message and that people understand that we are actually building something here in this company that is helping people's lives in one way or another. I have a set of internal values as a company, as a team, that you understand how you work together, how you respect each other, how you value each other, how you innovate, how you want to be collaborative. Whatever it is that you have as values internally in your company. And as I said earlier, these values actually typically transpire to your relations towards the users. Another one that I like to look into is the CEO. What is the CEO and how people perceive the CEO? So this information typically, as I said earlier, it can be found in the website of the company. If companies are not talking about this, many times they are not going to be necessarily paying that much attention to the values, for example, or the company culture. For me, that potentially could be a red flag. It might be that they pay attention to them, it might be that they don't. But the fact that they put it there, that's it on itself is a commitment towards those values. So it's very important for me to see those values displayed in a website and actually be able to read them and, okay, do they make sense or not? And thus, it sounds like the company is actually working, taking these values into consideration. Then the CEO, I talk also, and why I think that this is important is that it's important to have somebody that is really committed to the company and actually can convey his or her vision of what the company should be in the future. This might be tricky to find, especially if the CEO is not a very famous person, but there's places where you can find this kind of information. And together with the culture and the ways of working of the company internally and the CEO, one place where I tend to look for information is Glassdoor. Glassdoor, usually people give you reviews to the company, and usually this is internal reviews. Yes, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because Santa's reviews can be very biased, but typically you will have their information, or you will have the different scoring for the company that is telling you if the company is a good place to work, if it has some values, if those values are good, obviously, and if the people in the company actually approve or actually think that the CEO is a good leader for the company. And finally, there's the numbers. I didn't talk first about this, and this should be probably one of the first ones that you should be looking into once you've identified something that you could think that it could be a good company to invest. Understanding the financial situation of a company is key, because that means if the company can continue working in the future or not. I'm not going to go too deep in this one. There is a lot of channels out there that make a really good job doing this, and they do it day in and day out. So I would recommend channels like Financial Education to go and take a look into, because they are actually really going deep into these numbers and understanding what the numbers mean, and even talking about the numbers of certain companies. So it would be good that you go and check them out if you are interested on continuing looking forward into how to invest in individual stocks. What is going to be very important is that you understand a little bit the logic of how a company is financially viable. So what is the revenue of the company? What is the company profit? What is the amount of debt that the company has, and what kind of debt do they have? This is going to be very important for you to understand what is the company situation in a financial way, and does it make sense potentially financially to invest on it or not. Again, I would recommend to go to Financial Education channel and take a look there. As I said in the beginning, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, and I just wanted to share here some of the tips of how do I invest and why do I think that product management is something that actually can help you when you are investing, that it can help you understanding if a company or if a product is actually a good idea, and if it actually has a proper customer segment that they are focused on. Do they know how to deliver against the vision that the product has? And do they have a clear strategy to get to that vision? So I'm not trying to encourage you investing, just explaining how I'm doing it. But what is going to be important for you to understand is understand how risk averse you are. Are you somebody that is comfortable with not very clear situations, or do you want that everything is clear and that is predictable? There are companies that are very predictable how they are going to go over the years, whereas there's companies that are not predictable at all. And a good example now has been Tesla, that has been all over the place But for those ones that has been for a long time with it, being able to buy a while ago and holding for a long time, it has been actually a really good investment. And obviously understand that investing is risky. And investing is not for sure that you are going to make a good return on your investments. But if you look at any chart, typically over the years, most of the different indexes are growing over time. So that's why, for me at least, it makes sense. But this is something that you have to analyze on your own and understand on your own. So how about you? Do you invest? Or does money just burn in your pockets and it just never gets into any kind of investment portfolio? Let us know. Do you like to invest in stocks? Do you like to invest in funds? Do you like to invest in real estate, or do you just put money in a savings account? I would like to hear from you. What are your strategies? I know that this video has been quite different from the content I usually do. Let me know if you like this type of video by just liking it, or even disliking it if you don't like this type of video within the channel. I will see you in the next video. And remember, stay safe.